Hello, am I live? Am I live? I have no idea. How do I know if I'm live? Am I live? I am live. I am live. Am I live? I am live. Can you guys hear me? I am live. Am I live? I am live. Can you guys hear me? I am live. Alrighty. Can you guys hear me? I am live. Alrighty. Can you guys hear me? I am live. Alrighty. Okay. Alright, this is my first stream, so I have no idea what is to come. But I'm just gonna live stream and see what happens. Just tell my girl that I am on live stream. Twitch. Actually, I could just. Alright guys, so the basis of this, essentially what I want to do with this Twitch live stream and just stream in general is to just keep on practicing my JavaScript, practicing my code, and I think the best way to do it is just to record yourself and document the entire process. And a little live is a lot of fun, seeing seeing all the interactions and etc. with friends, family, randoms. I'm all about that. How about that? Hello Twitch. Woo! Hello Twitch. There you go. So essentially, I'm just gonna practice on Codesmith CSBIN from intro all the way to wherever I end up in. Whether I'm just, I'm just gonna practice until I get tired or I feel frustrated. But other than that, let's just jump right in to coding. So essentially what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to be reading the challenges and pseudocoding technical and providing some technical communication, and just my overall thought process on how to solve certain problems and provide my explanations to like solutions and stuff. So there will be times where I don't make sense, and there will be times that I don't make sense. So I just want to preface that I am in no way an expert, a professional, a senior, a teacher, not even a junior. I don't know anything about JavaScript. Well, actually, I've been learning for like half a year, but that's why I'm practicing. Okay. Challenge 1. Replace the blank underscores inside the console logs with the data type you think each value will be. Leave quotes. Alright. Let's uncomment this. And we'll just put number because the type of data type it is. The decimal is a number, right? And 22 is also a number. And line 8, true is a boolean. So if we do this, this all should be true because they're using the strictly operator. And yeah. Alright, let's go to line 10 to line 11. So right now we have a var, my var, that's not being assigned to anything. So I'm going to assume it's going to be undefined. Which, yeah, it is, because it's not a number, it's not a boolean, it's not a string, it's nothing. And so now this line should be true. Next, we want to add our name. This guy, codes 69. And now, because we're reassigning this my var, it's now going to be assigned to a string. So now my var, the data type it is, will be in fact a string. And so if I control save or just run code here, they all should be goddamn true. And they are. Alright. Great. Let's go to challenge 2. Alright. Create a function. Build sentence that takes 3 words and adds them together and console logs the whole sentence string, complete with capitalization and punctuation. Okay, so we have 3 arguments that are strings. So we're going to match it with our 3 parameters, word 1, word 2, and word 3. And we're essentially going to concatenate. So let me just write this down. 3 string arguments. And we are going to concat them into one single string. Okay, next, they say we have to, it has to be complete with capitalization and punctuation. So the only capitalization I see is the first character in the first string. So capitalize the first character of the first string argument, because in basic English syntax, only the first character, first letter is capitalized. Well, keep in mind, unless there's a single I. Okay, so capitalize the first character of the first string argument. We got that. And let's see what other punctuations or capitalizations we need. So it looks like we just need to add a period to the end. Add a period to the end of the string. So we could just add that at the end. So that looks like the basis of what we're going to be doing. Alright, so first and foremost, let's capitalize the first letter in the first string. So how we could do that is we could essentially single out this character by using brackets, or we could use character at 0, and we could do 2 uppercase. And if we do this, word 1. Alright. So now word 1 at the index 0 should be capitalized for both of these. But the thing is, now I need to replace it with the lowercase one, because all I did was just essentially create a new character. But the original one is still hasn't changed or hasn't been manipulated. And so that's what I'm gonna be doing. Alright, so let's see what I have to do. I could use I could declare a new variable for word 1. Word 1 equal to word1 dot replace, right? Check this out though. I'm gonna add a comma. I'm gonna use the replace method, and all we're gonna be doing is kind of copying the same one. So if we do this, and if we console log to just check our work, hey, look at that. We just capitalized the first letter, and we are good to go. We are good to go in concatenating our function, our argument. So, alright, so let's now concatenate these two, and let's add spaces, because that's what makes a sentence. Word 3, and don't forget the period. Oh, that's just awesome. Alright, so as you see here in challenge 2, from the bottom, coding is awesome with the capitalization and the punctuation, the period. It does match lines 34 and 35, and I think we are good to go. So let me just comment these out and continue coding. Sorry for coughing. Water break. I'm not comfortable talking too much. Let's see. Oh! Hello! Hello! Alright, sorry about that. Just checking how my live stream is doing, and there's actually, guys, there's no one in here. Well, it doesn't matter. I am just here to learn. This is a learning channel. And I'm going to be posting all these live streams. I'm going to cut them in clips and post these challenges and what I'm doing and talking about into specific clips, so that anyone that needs help in CSBIN or coding in general can maybe find these challenges by Googling. And like I said, in no ways am I an expert. I'm just a learner. I am a student, and there's probably thousands of ways to be more efficient in coding, in terms of comparing my code to the other person's, but it doesn't matter. We're here to learn. We're here to improve. We're here to grow, and that's all that matters, really. And so let's jump right into challenge 3. It says create a function last letter that takes a word, which will be a string, argument, and console logs the last character letter of that word. Hint, remember that each character / letter in a string has an index position that you can access with brackets. So what this bracket hint that they're telling us is kind of the same as what I did earlier with the string character at method, string.character at method. They're pretty much the same. In terms of what's more efficient, I have no idea. I believe they both work the same, and they give you the same result. But since it's giving us this hint, I'm just going to use the brackets to complete challenge 3. So essentially what they want us to do is to single out the last character of this string and just console log it. So simply all we have to do is just get the last character, so we get the length, and because the length and the index don't match because it's 0 index, and when you're counting the length of characters, whether that's in a string or an array, when you're counting the length, you start at 1, whereas when you're counting the index, you start at 0. So all we have to do is we bracket this up, do this, and it should return the last characters. So we have O, exclamation point, and the capital D. It's fantastic. Alright, going on to challenge 4. So there's a total of 15 challenges plus 4 extensions, which I have no idea what it is yet. But yeah, we're going to complete, this is just the intro part to JavaScript for Codesmith's CSBIN. CSBIN is very similar to CSX. And yeah, I mean, I'm just going to continue coding. I'm just going to see how far I go. And yeah. Yes. Okay. Alright, create a function build greeting that takes a time, which is an integer, and a name, which is going to be a string argument, and print a greeting based on the following rules. If time is in between 0 and 11 inclusive, both of them, it's going to say good morning to the string argument. If the time is between 12 inclusive and 16, let's just say good morning to the string argument. If the time is 17 and 23 inclusive, it should say good evening. Anything else, it should say that is not a real time. Maybe you need some sleep. Maybe we all need some sleep. Sleep is really good for you guys, by the way. If you guys didn't know. Very, very good. And water. Okay, so just from looking at the prompt that they give us, we see a lot of ifs. Ifs, 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 ifs. And an else. If and else. So right away I'm thinking conditional statements. We're going to use some conditional chain statements so we could chain them together. So if it's not this, it's that, and etc. And that's simply what this whole problem is. So we're going to use, we're going to create conditional chain statements for specific integer values and return a specific string from the integer values, right? And that's essentially what we have to do. So let's jump right in. So if time is between 0 and 11 inclusive, so essentially it just has to be less than or equal to 11, because anything less than 11 is it'll say good morning essentially. Let's see, does it want us to return or print? So it just wants us to console log it, so we're going to say good morning space plus name, good morning name plus exclamation point. Okay, so yeah, great. So just to check how we're doing so far, the first one does seem correct. Good morning Maggie with the exclamation point. Now we're going to add else if time is greater than or equal to 12 and time is less than or equal to 16, it should console log. Let's do string templates, template literals, I think. Is that what it's called? Let's do it. Let's try that way. I think that's the Airbnb style guide of like how to write cleaner code. So let's adopt that habit in the future, right? So let's say it should say good afternoon. And the thing I like about this is we don't have to use the um, add operator like what we did with line 64. We have to use the money sign and some brackets, and it should just work like that. So we check. Oh, that's fantastic. Oops. It makes it a lot easier and cleaner, you know? You don't have to keep adding like these plus signs, because sometimes if you forget one plus sign, it's not gonna work. And so yeah, let's just do that. I just remembered. So next, if it's time, if time is greater than equal to 17 and time is less than equal to 23, it should console log good evening. Good evening. Let's see. Good evening name, exclamation point, and yeah, and then we're gonna end it with a else, because anything else other than these specific integer values is you know, because it's 24 hours, right? It has to be some. It's gonna result to just saying that's not a real time. And oh, another thing I like about this is, hold up, some sleep. Another thing I like about this is that I believe you don't have to worry about punctuation when you're using template literals, because yeah, exactly. So like, for instance, if I was using this way, like this way of using like the sum operators, we're gonna have to deal with this punctuation point for that's, which is that is, and what we would have done is use a backslash. And as you see in here, it won't show it because it's so smart. JavaScript is so smart to like not show that. So yeah, this is actually a really good way to like clean up your code. That's what I realized. I'm gonna start doing this. I'm gonna start making this a habit. Yeah, so I think, yeah, this is perfect. Alright, let's just uncomment this out. If you guys have any questions, feel free to comment below, or sideways, I don't know. I am not a streamer. This is my first stream ever in my life. Um, but yes. Challenge 5. Index of is a function that you can call on a string, string 1. String 1. Okay. And accepts another string, string 2, as an argument. It searches through string 1 from left to right, checking each character to see if it can find string 2. If it finds string 2, it returns the index position of the first character that matches string 2. If it cannot find string 2, it returns -1. Enter the index position you think index of will return for each below. Okay, so index of is a function that you can call on a string. Okay, so challenge 5, let's see. So they don't provide any functions, but in the prompt it does say index of should be a function with, I'm assuming, 2 parameters. Yeah, 2 arguments inside this function. So just off of what I think we should do is maybe we should just create a function index of, and string 1, string 2, And so call on a string and accepts another string as an argument. And call on a string. Okay, yeah. Okay, so we're comparing string 1 and string 2, and we're trying to figure out what character, what index position is string 2 in terms of in terms of string 1. In correlation to string 1, I mean, and if it's not in there, it should return -1. And so, okay, so let's look at the example first because I want to see if I need to write anything in this function, right? So look at as we look at line 90, index of Codesmith is string 1. We're going to pair them up. String 2 is the letter O, and we are supposed to enter the index position we think index of will return for each below. So if we look at here, we see O is in index 1, so we're just going to put 1. And if we look at LL in hello, there is LL, but we're only returning the first one we see, so it should be 0, 1, 2. Okay, zebra should be 0. Capital B in banana. So JavaScript is case sensitive, so even though there's a B, it's not a capital B, and it should just return -1, and it's giving me all false. Okay. Alright, so why is it giving me all false? Index of is a function that you can call on a string and accepts another string as an argument. It searches through string 1 from left to right, checking each character. So, I mean, from what I know, string 1, index of is a actual string method. So, are they saying to use index of? And is this how you use it? Let me just... I should look it up at MDM. Yeah, wait. Okay. 1, 2, 0, -1. Okay, yeah, that's... Okay, but it's giving me all false. So... I mean, but it's not really telling us what we need to do. So am I returning this? Return. Will that be... Oh, fantastic. Okay. I'm not sure if we're supposed to use index of, but it's totally fine. I mean, we're getting true, and that's all that matters, guys. Well, it's not all that matters. There's more to life. Challenge 6. Create a function create a function letter exists that takes a word, which will be a string argument, and a character, which will also be a string argument, and console logs whether the last character can be found inside that word. Whether that letter can be found inside. Okay, so essentially we're using index of again, right? And so they want us to console log it this time. So instead of returning it, so we could use word index of letter 3. Oh, okay. Wait. So, alright, so it's gonna be a boolean. So we have to say if word return true. We're going to create a conditional statement, return false, or let's not return, let's console log it because That's what the instructions are telling us. True. I should be pseudocoding a lot more. Yeah, I should actually. Use the index of method to see if letter is in word. Create conditional statement to see if it is if the see if letter is in word. If so, return console.log true. Else console.log false. So yes, they shall return true. Sorry about that. I was on my phone. So yes. Oh wait. Whoa. Whoa. Okay. 114 should return false. Why is it giving me true? 1, 2, 3. Okay. Yes. This should be 3 trues and 1 false. So why is it true? Is it? Wait a minute. Is it case sensitive? Let me just comment this out. -1. Oh, okay. Else. Oh, okay. Here, how about this? Let me change my conditional. So if letter 1 is greater than or equal to 0, return true. Else it should return false. Yes. Yes, I forget that if it's not there, it's going to return a -1. So I refactored my, well, I corrected it by saying anything that's greater than or equal to 0, which will be the index position, should return true, and anything else should return, you guessed it, false. Alright. Alright, so challenge 6 we just finished. Let's go to challenge 7. Create a function is prime that console logs a boolean indicating if number is prime or not. Or not. Okay, first of all, what the heck is a prime number? let me Google that. Let me Google that real quick. What is a prime number? What is a prime number? A prime number is a number that's only divisible by 1 and itself. So prime numbers only have 2 factors, 1 and the number itself. Okay. So it has to be divisible by 1 and itself. It can only be, yeah. 11, 15 is false. -7 is false? Wait. Are negatives considered prime numbers? Is a natural number greater than 1 that is not a product of 2? Okay, so anything that's negative should be false. So we're going to be creating, so let's say, let me just write what a prime numbers are actually natural numbers that are only, this is just straight from Google, divisible by 1 and itself. Note any negative numbers are not prime. They're not prime. They're not prime. Okay. Alright. So, so we do get, so for our arguments, each argument will be an integer value, whether that's negative or positive. And right off the bat, we're gonna, from what I could tell, we're gonna be creating conditional statements to check each number value to see if it's in fact divisible by 1 and itself and not negative. So anything that's negative is automatically false. It's false. And so let's get started. So if number, so let me just, if number is less than, is 0 a prime number? Is 0 a prime? No, 0 is not prime. 0 is not prime. If it's greater than equal to 0, return. Does it want us to return? It wants us to console log. False. Okay, so I'm not gonna, in this case for challenge 7, I'm not gonna use any like conditional chains. I'm just gonna create multiple if statements to see if they work. So okay, let's see what we could write to check if it's a prime number. So a prime number should be when it's divided by 1, it should be number, right? Which is true. And number, I mean, how do I check this? How do I check if it's, should I use modulo? Let's see. Okay, so whoa. So right now I'm just looking on Stack Overflow and seeing how we could get a prime number. Wow, this is actually pretty complicated. They want us to do like a square root or something. And I guess there's no other way to solve this. How to check prime numbers. Should I make a loop? Okay, so 15, it's 15 modulo 1, 15 modulus 1, 2, 3. Yes, we gotta do something. Okay, so they give us instructions. So yeah, so they want us to use some sort of like square root trick to test this. Is this? I think this is some sort of algorithm. And yeah, all right. So let's do this. So if number is less than 2, it should return false. If number is 2, number 3 should return true. Let's see. If number, so I'm just gonna Stack Overflow. I'm copying what the instructions this user is providing, and they want us. So I'm just gonna write it down first and see where it takes me. Return false, right? So after he writes these instructions for the conditional statements, he says take the square root of the number rounded up to the next integer. This is optional for small prime numbers, so speeds up the determination for large numbers. Okay, so math.square root. Actually, that's not how you write it. Math square root JavaScript square root. Yeah, it's not dummy move. So he wants us to do that. He wants us to do that. X nor greater than. Take the square root of the number rounded up to the next integer. Square root math.round. Okay. Loop from 5 to the square root of the number or the number. Incrementing by 2. Whew, okay, okay, so let me declare a new variable for this evaluated result of math round and math square root. So let's call it square root equal to this result. So if I console log, okay, let's see. What in the world? Okay. Syntax error. Unexpected token. So it looks like I have some sort of colon somewhere. What the heck? Did I do this? I did not do that. So, okay. So they want us to loop through from 5 to the square root, and we're incrementing by 2. Okay, what the heck is this guy? What the heck is this guy even on? I'm just gonna trust what he is telling us to do. This is from Stack Overflow, by the way. So to the square root, right? And we're gonna increment by 2. Divide the loop number. Divide the loop number. What the heck? So it wants us to divide I by the prime numbers determined so far. So number. So let result equal to this. If result divided by if result if the modulus of division is 0. Okay, so it wants us to modulus if what does it want us to what does it want us to modulus by? False. Okay, that seems very complicated for a challenge. For a challenge 7, but whatever. Whoa. Is it working? No, it's not working. Undefined. Okay, so that's okay. Ew. Let's find. Okay, so let's look at the time. Okay, what I just did, no, does not work. But we do have to use some sort of for loop from what I'm researching. Use for loop to let me read the Stack Overflow and try to figure that out. Alright, const is prime is the function num. We're gonna have for loop. I starts off at 2. What the heck? S math. S equals. Oh, why the heck did I write? Okay. Alright, so we are going to have some if statements first, right? As we mentioned earlier. So anything that's less than 1 should return false. If number modulo 0 and number is greater than 2, return false. Which makes sense. So what this conditional statement is saying is any even number, because 2 times 2 is 4, so 4 is not a prime number. And so what this is doing is using the modulus operator to check if anything that's strictly equal, that's modulated by 2 and it's 0, it should return false. And of course it has to be bigger than 2 for it to be divisible. Okay. Any even number. I should have wrote that down, but yes, any even number. The first one is to check negatives. Any negatives, because negatives are not prime numbers. They are negatives. Okay, so next we are going to, okay, I see what the other solution that I was copying was doing. So they do still use, excuse me, prime number, square root. So let's use square root equal to math.square root number, and they want us to store the square to loop faster. So I guess this way is it's a more efficient way to finding things, right? And next they want us to create a for loop, initialize a for loop, and they want us to start from 3. Well, let's see why first. And they want us to stop our loop at square root, so whatever number it gives us, and it wants us to increment by 2, so similar to what we did. And so we're gonna say if number is modulus by I and it's 0, should return false. And now we're gonna go outside of this conditional statement and return true. True, undefined, 1, 2, 1. Okay, why is 2 false? Why is 2 undefined? Okay. 2 is a prime number. So we gotta fix this. Okay, so this solution I found on Stack Overflow is not working the best. Okay, so if it's 2, it is not working. What? Is there a better way to do this? Ah, man. Some of these most voted answers aren't giving you the right answers. Well, I mean, okay, let's redo this, because there's another way that does get the 2 correct. So you just gotta restart it again, and there's actually a really short version. So they want us to do a for loop, and we start at 2. Let 2 I will be less than number, okay, and I will increment by 1 if I is if number modulus by I is equal to 0, it should return false. Simply false. And then they want us to go outside the for loop. Return n is greater than 1. Oops. False, true, true, false. Okay, so hold up. Let me understand this real quick. Oh no. My little mic dildo came off. Sorry about that. Alright, so let's talk about this solution. Let's talk about this for loop that they're initializing. So it starts off at 2, right? And it's gonna increment by 1 until it's less than number. So okay, so I is never less than -7, so it should just straight up return. Yeah, so let's look at line 139 first and see how this whole function works before we move on to line challenge 8. So it says is prime, the argument is -7. So first and foremost, right, it's gonna check this return statement before we even go into this, right? Because if number is greater than 1, it's gonna return whatever this result is. So -7 is greater than 1, that's false. So it's just gonna give us false. And if for I guess educational purposes, let's run it through our for loop and see what happens. I will never be less than -7 because -7 is less than 2, so this one wouldn't even work. So let's jump on to 2 and see how it got true. So we see it's 2. Return 2 is greater than 1. Okay. So it's true, I guess. So in terms of the for loop, I is equal to 2. I is less than number. No, it's not. 2 is equal to 2, so this one wouldn't even run, right? So 2 would be true. Let's take a look at 141 with the argument of 11. So 11 would be 11 greater than 1 is true. Okay, so let's see if it's false, right? Because this for loop is only checking if something is false. So 2 is less than 11, correct? So we're going to check 11 modulus 2. 11. So right now I'm just Googling modulus 2 and see what happens. And we get 1. So since we get 1 and it's not 0, I think we just keep going, right? I think we just keep checking. So the first iteration of this for loop until we are, less than 11, it's going to keep going. It's going to keep checking. And once we're done with this, then we're going to go to this. Because it's all sequential. It's all synchronous. That's what they call it. So if we do 11 modulus 3, it's going to give us 1 as well. So let's check 4, 3, and none of them, spoiler alert, none of them is going to equal to 0. So modulus will only return 0 if it's a perfect square, essentially, right? So if there's no remainders, right? Because modulus is just dividing, and if it's a perfect number, it won't have any remainders. If it does have remainders, then it won't equal to 0. So I understand what this is saying. So let me just re-say it, I guess. And see how we could, for next time when I run into like a prime number function or a problem, I could just do it myself, right? So it starts off at 2, because if it starts at 1, yeah, what would happen if it starts at 1? They all equal to false. So because look, a prime number is divisible by 1 in itself, so there won't be any remainders when 11 is divisible by 1. So I see why it's divisible by 2. I mean, it's being, you know, it's starting off at 2. And so, um, let's look at line 136. Normally I wouldn't write it like this, just because I'm a noob. So if number is greater than 1, this is how I would write it. Return true. True, true, false. So I guess in this point, oh, yes, I would have to create another. Yeah, I would have to do it like this, whereas the solution was return number 1. And this is a lot cleaner because, you know, this does already check if number is greater than 1. So I'll also try to make this a habit. I guess when I refactor in the future, in like big codes, you could start writing it like this. But in terms of just getting that practice in, we will just use this. Okay, challenge 8. It wants us to get range or something, right? Alright, let's see how we are doing. Challenge 8. Okay, create a function range that console logs all numbers between start and end in sequential order. And so our function calls, range is called with the arguments of 1 and 4, which should return 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 to 2 should return undefined. Because, well, yeah, so let's talk about 164 real quick and why it doesn't have any results. It should return either null, undefined, or something. Because it starts off at 4 and it ends at 2. It's sequential. It can't go backwards. I mean, we could, I guess for educational purposes, we could do something like that. But let's start off with just following the directions and seeing what we can do. So I know to get this type of, you know, order, we could do a for loop. We could initialize a for loop, so we could say I could start off at start and it can end at 4 inclusive, and essentially just keep iterating until it hits that. So initialize a for loop, and from start argument to end argument, incrementing by 1 every loop. Okay. So let's see. It wants us to. Does it want us to return it in an array or just number value? So okay, so declare a result variable to be assigned to the evaluated results of start to end. And essentially I think that's it. So let's initialize for let I equal to start. I is less than or equal to end, and I will increment by 1. Okay, before we do that, let's create a output. Go to does it, I mean, I think if we have it as a number, how do you, I'm trying to think of a way to do it without using an array, because an array we could just push it, right? But it doesn't say anything where we, we can. I mean, I could just turn this, if I turn it to a 0, it's gonna get reassigned every single time. If I want to leave it as a number and just keep adding on to that same variable, let's see, am I able to do that? Let's see. I don't think so, because like I'll put, if I do this, it's just gonna keep adding all my values together. So 4, 7, 3, that's 10, so it doesn't work. So I can't, and if I do this, I'm just reassigning every loop, I'm just reassigning. So off the top of my tongue, I can't think of a way other than pushing it into it, pushing it into an array and then just returning it after and joining it after, I mean. And so, okay, so array dot push, what are we pushing? I. Yes, exactly. So now we have to do join, and that's what we'll get. 1, 2, 3, 4 blank. And so yeah, that's challenge 8. I'm not gonna you know, do anything else to it. Let's just comment this out and go to challenge 9 and see what's next. Alright, let's try to hit up 10 and take a break, because I think I've been doing this for an whole hour. Wow, this takes an hour to do? Okay, let's try to pick up the pace, Andy. Create a function range, no, challenge 9. Create a function my index of that takes an array, an element, and console logs the index of the element in the array, or -1 if it doesn't exist. Assume that ELE will be primitive data type, no arrays or objects. Do not use the built-in index of method in your solution. In all caps. So, okay, so they don't want us to use the built-in index of method that we used previously in challenge 5. So another way to do this, another way to solve this, there's two ways. There's an algorithm I learned not too long ago called the binary search, where you're essentially only searching half every single iteration, or every time it gets called or something, where it breaks it down by half. If it's not in this half, you go to the other half. Whereas the way I think a beginner would approach it is to just use a for loop and search one by one. So I'm gonna do both. Why not? I'm gonna do both. I'm gonna do both and see what we could do. Okay, so we could say let index equal to 0. Let's start off index as 0. Declare a variable index and assign it 0. And we assign it to 0 because we're going to reassign it if we do find the appropriate index when we're looking for element in the array. So now we're gonna initialize a for loop to and increment by 1. So for let I equals 0, I is, the index will start off at 0. I will be less than array.length, and I will increment by 1. And so now we're going to create a conditional statement if array bracket I is equal to L. Index will equal to I, and so that's pretty much what the for loop will do, and all we have to do is console log index, and the evaluated results should be 4, 0, -1. Actually, oh, how about I set this to -1? Yes, 4, 0, -1. So the reason I set this to -1 because if it's not found, it should be -1, right? The method index of the way it works, if it does not exist, it should be -1, and if it does exist, it should just be any index that's greater than or equal to 0. So yes, 4, 0, 1, -1, I mean, and you know, I kind of want to revisit the binary search from memory because it's one of the algorithms that, yeah, I guess is sort of common. Binary search, and so I'm gonna be going off the top of my head to just see if I could remember how binary search is. So essentially, we're gonna have a minimum and a max value, right? And so let's declare a new variable min and assign it to, how do we get this? So it's gonna be array. So I'm gonna access the first element in the array plus array dot length -1. I'm gonna parenthesize these two and divide it by 2, and I'm also gonna math floor it because if it is an odd number, it's gonna give us like a decimal. So I think no, dude, no, wait, no, just kidding. This is midpoint. Yeah, so there's gonna be a minimum, maximum, and a midpoint. Right, so that's the midpoint. Now we're gonna have min, and min is just gonna be the first element of the array. So array 0, let max equal to array dot length -1. Right, so if we console log midpoint min max, we will get, oh, I wonder if binary search works with, it should, right? Yeah, it should work. Alright, so we get 3 as the midpoint, 1 as the whatever, and 5 as that. Yeah. Okay, hold up. But we're getting not a number. And binary search should work with letters too. So actually, I'm not actually getting the elements, I realize. I'm getting the index position. So in this case, it should be 0, and I think, yes, okay, so now we're, okay, see, this is just, I'm trying to remember how everything works with binary search. I'm trying to just remember it by remembering. And so now that we have our midpoint, our min, our max, now we could start our binary search with using conditional statements. Right? And so essentially what the conditional statements will say is if array midpoint, because we always start at the midpoint. When you're doing a binary search, you always start at the midpoint, and from that midpoint, yeah, if it matches or not, it's gonna determine whether you cut the first half or cut the second half. And I'm gonna show you guys that in a bit. So we're gonna say if midpoint is equal to L, return midpoint, because midpoint is just the index. And I forgot to mention that this is all going to be under a while statement, while loop, because you need something to keep it going. You know, if we're just using it without any loops, it's just gonna iterate, or it's just gonna do it once. And so from my memory, the loop will stop when max or when min is greater than max, right? And I'm gonna explain why once we finish this. So that's the first one. So if it's 3, then it's just gonna return the index of what we found it in. So we're going to create another one, if array midpoint. So, oh, I just remembered. So for a binary search to work, the order of elements has to be sequential. It has to be in order. It has to be sorted from less to greatest. Because if it's not, then you're gonna have problems, because the whole point of it is it has to be in order. It has to be in order somehow. And the more I think about this, the more I feel like the letters won't work. So I don't know the number values of characters, so this might be a waste in terms of finding the letters, but for sure numbers, it will work. So if array midpoint is less than element, so if the midpoint is less than, then that means we could cut off the first half, right? So that means min will be equal to midpoint plus 1, because we know midpoint's already not element, so we could skip midpoint and go to the next one. So now min will become midpoint. Bear with me, guys. I think that's correct. So if midpoint is greater than element, then that means max will get reassigned to midpoint minus 1. So now here, what we're going to do is, let's see, we have to sort of come back to this this basis of like, how does it reset, right? And so to the point of like the while loop, if min is ever greater than max, it should return, you know, it won't exist. And so let me just try to remember what the binary search is. If min is greater than max, return -1. And so I might have to divide.
We consider what's happening there. The midpoint of the remaining array is that the index where our value.
Okay, wait, hold up. So everything I did was correct. I just forgot the last part. So midpoint will now become, will get reassigned to, will essentially get reassigned again. So it'll be, oh, actually, let me clean this up. So instead of saying just 0, it should be min and max. Right? Because that's what it is, essentially. And if I do this, it should work. It should work. So if I console log this, oh no, it's giving us, why is it not working? While min is less, oh, okay, so this, okay, so, okay, so this is another thing I messed up on. This whole loop never runs because of this conditional statement of, for the while loop, because min will never be greater than max. It's always going to be less than. So this will only run when min is less than or equal to max. So, right, so I missed this part, line 199 and 188. I messed up on the conditional, and at the end I think we're supposed to reassign it, you know. Once, if none of these conditions, well, if these conditions are true, we're just gonna keep reassigning it and reassigning a new midpoint to the challenge. So for instance, I think if I left this out, it's always gonna, the midpoint will always be a certain number. It'll always be 3, and it wouldn't work. That's why we get an error. So we want to reassign it, and so I'm kind of curious how it would be when we check this. Oh, so with letters, yes, I need to find a way to return -1. Let's see. Oh, let's create an else. Oh, no, wait. Ah, shoot. Undefined. Okay, so I need to go outside of this loop and say if midpoint is equal to undefined, return -1. Maybe if I'm more specific. Alright, I gotta find a way to incorporate -1 into this. So I need a, oh, I could say if min is greater than max, return -1. Yes! So if the minimum is ever greater than max, then it should just return -1 because it can't find that value. So guys, this is the binary search. Really simple, very effective in terms of space complexity, time complexity. I'm just guessing what that means. You see like log and stuff, but um, yes, this is a better way to incorporate some type of search. You know, you don't want to go one by one. You want to split it in half, search that half, split it in half, and etc. So this is a better way to kind of improve, refactor your code when you're some sort of beginner like me. And I still have to revisit the binary search because I actually don't remember it as much as I should. I missed on a few things like line 188, 199 to reassign it, and 203 in terms of well, in terms of, I guess in a real binary search you wouldn't need this from lines 203 to 205. This is just um, kind of copying the index of method. So yeah, two. Yeah, so I think in like typical fashion you wouldn't have it, but in this case, yeah, we'll have -1. So, oh man, I need pee, but let's try to power through challenge 10 and take a small break. Create a function unique that console logs an array where all the duplicates of the input array have been removed. In other words, every element remaining is unique. Oh, alright, so unique. So, alright, I need to go take a piss real bad. Um, let's see. Whew. Alright, so essentially we just gotta break down all the duplicates, and oh man, I've done this before. It's actually kind of difficult, I'm not gonna lie. These challenges intro are pretty hard. So we have an array argument and we have to iterate through all of them. We kind of have to remove the duplicates. Alright, so we remove the duplicates. Apologies guys, my girl is quite sick right now, and so I am being as present as possible no matter what. So I do apologize for this live stream if anyone is watching. She is sick, so I want to be um, there for her when she needs me. When I Okay, so so just the top of my tongue. I was gonna say top of my lips. Better than. We're gonna have to do some sort of iteration. Let me think. Actually done this something similar to this on LeetCode, where we have to initialize a for loop and compare each element with one another. And so let me just try to remember what I'm doing. So I don't have to use a nested loop, because I think what I could do is I could do some sort of like array.length, right, increment by 1, and if array I equals to array I plus 1, then we should apologies guys, I am very present like I said, so something easy to just drop it. Okay, so so if it does, right, if they so if I push something, it doesn't necessarily mean it's removing it from the original. If I push one thing from an array to another one, how about I create a new array? Const cache equal to that if it does cache. I could slice it. I could do like array dot slice I, and that will create a shallow copy. So let's just console log array and see what malformed arrow function. Okay, so now they want us to. Why do they have arrow function? Okay, so alright, so this is what I'm gonna do. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna comment this out because yes, they're using it inappropriately. Disgusting. Shit. Oh gosh, I need pee so bad. So if I slice it, oh, gosh, I need pee. 3. Okay, this I need pee so bad. Oh, I need pee so bad. How do I? What is? Oh, great. Be right back, y'all. Guys, I just realized I was on mute the entire time. And there's probably 15 minutes of me just being mute. Oh, god damn it. So, guys, let me. Oh, fuck. That's some bullshit. So, what I ended up doing for challenge 10. Oh, man, this is annoying. So, all I did was I accidentally used the slice method, but in doing so, I used the correct way was using the splice method. For my start was the start of the index, and I'm only deleting one item. And anything else was just going to stay there. And that's essentially all I did. If you could just see the comparison from what I did earlier. Oh man, I have so much to say about this. So on LeetCode, there's a very similar problem, but there's so many edge cases we have to keep in mind when using LeetCode, where you couldn't use splice, there's just so many things where we couldn't use because LeetCode is meant is meant for all languages. It's not meant for just JavaScript. Crap, man, I'm so annoyed that you guys didn't hear like the last 15 minutes. I ended up muting myself. Ah, man. So, yeah, that's essentially it. I'll talk about the LeetCode stuff when I start working on it. I want to revisit all the problems I worked on LeetCode as well. Um, so, man, okay. Longest word. Create a function longest word that returns the longest word of a sentence. If there are ties, the function should return the later word. And my pseudocode from line 241 to 243. Function call arguments is one string. To find the longest word, we can use a length method. Compare each element's length. And well, this comment only makes sense when you guys hear what I say. My strategy into tackling this is to splitting it into individual elements inside an array using the split method, right? And then we compare each element's length to one another and we'll return the longest word. So what I'm going to do is first and foremost sentence let r equals sentence. So I should actually long L. I should be more specific with my variable labels. And I think that should be a practice a habit that I do a lot. And so that I should follow instead of just using output, result, R, and etc. It's just good practice when you start working with production code. Alright, so as you can see here, inside long array is now an array. It's an array, and each element will be an individual word, and the split will essentially split anything that has a space in between. If I didn't have a split, it'll just do all letters, including the space. So that's the reason why I did that. And now you can access the array elements by using a for loop. It'll increment by 1. And what we'll do now, this length. So here's what I'll do. I'll actually create a new variable, declare a new variable called longer equal to 0. Let's see. I'll make it the first element. So now I'm going to change up this conditional and say if longer is greater than greater than greater than is less than or equal to long L I dot length. Let me get the length. Then longer will get reassigned to long L I. And essentially this whole for loop is gonna keep reassigning longer into the longest one, and so longest string element. And so if we return longer, it should say exceptional hippos JavaScript and blank. Let's take this out. Exceptional hippos JavaScript blank. Perfect. Fantastic. Oh man, I hope you guys can hear this. I hope you guys could hear this. After this, sorry, I'm texting my girl. I'm not sorry. My girl's sick. My girl's sick, so I gotta, you know, take care of her. I was thinking. Alright, so that's challenge 11. It looks like it works, so let's go to challenge 12. Create a function dismVowel that takes in a string and returns a string with all the vowels removed. Oh, nice. Okay, so we need to remove all the vowels, and to do this, there are many ways to do this, and well, yes, there are a lot of ways to do this. What I could do is I could either make it into an array and do a comparison there, or I could do I could create an object literal with all the vowels. And the reason I could do that is because, well, it's because, I mean, there are only so many vowels. There's only like A, E, I, O, U, 5, so it's not going to be too messy. So I could say, so yeah, create a cache, a vowel cache, vowel object, literal, the vowels, and then initialize a for loop for the string and compare each character to the vowel keys. If characters are in the object, then we will remove. We won't remove. We could say are not. Then we could declare a results variable, assign it to an empty string, and which we will add the results later. We will add those characters into the result output. Don't worry, I'm going to change the result output name to something more specific. So, okay. Return output. So that's my pseudocode. So I could do a const vowel to object literal, and I want to try out this new way. I mean, I could just do this a and stuff. Oh, right. So because it is case sensitive, I'm going to have to write both. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna have to write both, but I want to try out this way just because I was working on. Is there something on my hair? All right, no, nothing. Just a new way to adding stuff to objects. I could do vowel dot a equal a, vowel dot e equals e, vowel dot I equals I, vowel dot o equals o, u. Yeah, no, I'm just curious to see if this works. A, E, I, O, U, and now I'm going to do uppercase. Vowel dot A equals A, dot E equals E, vowel dot I equals I, dot A, E, I, O, O, vowel dot U equals U, I, and yeah, yes, there you go. Fantastic. Now, yeah, that's perfect, that's perfect. Yeah, that's perfect, that's perfect. So now, I have this. So this is another way to add things. You could physically add it. You could have done, well, I could have done A, or I could have done A, but then you have to keep in mind you have commas. So that's how I did it when I first worked on this problem. Revisiting it, I could have done this. I could have done let's see. Const vowel equal to object dot create null. I think this will give us the same input. Vowel name. Yeah. Name. Name? I guess you can't. It has to be. Alright, let's continue to it. For let I equals 0, I is less than string dot length, I will increment by 1. And okay, before I do this, let's declare a result variable. Let's call it disassembled equal to an empty string. So now, and I'm just going to return disassembled. Alright, so if string dot character at I, so I'm going to access the vowel object by doing this. So if inside the vowel object string character at I is in fact is defined, well, to make it easier, just like our pseudocode, if it's not, the dissembled will plus equal to string.char at I. And that's essentially it. Yes, that's essentially it. That's how we do it with case in terms of, like, you know, working with cases and anything else. So that's challenge 11. Let's go to challenge 12. Challenge 13. What am I doing? Challenge, that was challenge 12. So we got a couple more. I can't scroll down anymore. It's not letting me. And we are at 2 hours. 2 hours and 5 minutes. And let me drink some water. My voice is getting shot. It's not letting me. And we are at 2 hours. 2 hours and 5 minutes. And let me drink some water. My voice is getting shot. All right. Okay, let's get started. Undefined. So what do we have to do? Challenge 13. Create a function divisible by 5 pair sum that takes an array of numbers. It should return an array of all pairs of indices whose sum is a multiple of 5. So divisible by 5 pairs sum takes an array of numbers. It should return an array of all pairs of indices whose sum is a multiple of 5. Hold on. What? Let me read this again. Divisible by 5 pairs sum should return an array of all pairs of indices whose sum all pairs of indices whose sum is a multiple of 5. So 0 and 4, 1 and 3. Oh, okay. Expectations. God damn. Okay, so alright. this is a Rode mic thing, because I do have a Rode mic here. It's like this. People used to record videos. um, I was gonna use this as like a mic, but it didn't work. So I mean, it wasn't as effective as just this one. I was like, you know, maybe this will help denoise anything, any like. So that's why I have this here. I have no idea if it helps. Pitch. Okay, okay, this challenge 13. We have to turn an array. The return value is gonna be an array with subarrays of pairs. So only two in the subarray. There's only gonna be two whose sum is a multiple of 5. And I guess it could mix and match. Could mix and match. So let's just say return value will be an array with subarray of pairs. We need to initialize an array and to access every in the for loop we will compare each element. Oh, we will add each element and see and and modulus by 5 and strictly equal to 0. If true, push it in to an array and return array. We might have to use a nested for loop. I'm thinking of using a nested for loop because I feel like it. What does it say? There you go. I am not streaming a rerun. Yo. Yo. Did you? Yo. Did you? Yo. Did you? All right. Divisible 5. Blah, blah, blah. Let's go to challenge 13. All right. So. All right. So I'm assuming we're gonna have to create a. Let's go to challenge 13. Alright, so divisible R.
So I'm assuming
Let's name it, let's declare a new variable with a const divisible div 5 equal to an empty array, right? And so now we need to access all the elements in the array. So array.length, increment by 1. And like I said, I think we need to use a nested for loop because I said so. Just kidding. No, because I think we need to compare every elements with each other, or compare the first element with the second, and etc. This might and might not work. Who knows? J will increment by 1, and so, to check if, so now we're going to write our conditional statement where we're going to say if array I, which is the index 0, plus array j. So we're going to get the total of that, and then we're going to then modulus by 5 is equal to 0. Div 5 dot push array I array j. This might be too short, but let's see. Well, let's just return it. Let's see what happens. 1 4. Oh wait. I got to return the I'm not returning the actual elements, I'm returning the index, so J. And 03041223240413. Wow, that works really well. I was not expecting it to work as fast as it did. Give myself a pat in the back. Let's finish that. Let's go to. Whew, I am gonna keep going. Let's go to challenge 14. I am getting really tired. But this is also endurance training, right? Because when you actually get into a boot camp, you're supposed to be paying attention for like 10 hours. So I'm gonna have the smokers talk after this because my voice is shot. Okay, create a function highest score that takes in an array of student objects as parameters. So it's going to be an array of objects. It should return a string that corresponds to the student with the highest score. The string should contain that student's initials concatenated with their ID. Assume the array contains at least one student object and the student with the highest score is unique. There are no ties. I just read that without comprehending anything. Create a function highest score that takes in an array of student objects as parameters. Okay, it should return a string that corresponds to the students with the highest score. Highest score students. So essentially I just need to find the highest score. What is LS2? Oh, the initials. Oh, Lisa Simpson 2, that's the answer. Will Santance, that's the CEO of Codesmith. Fun fact. Assume the array contains at least one student object and the student with the highest score is unique. So there aren't any ties, none of them scores or numbers match. So, okay. So we have an array. So students argument is an array with objects as elements. So that's important to distinguish. So we're going to be accessing the array and also accessing each element. And so to access the array, we have to initialize a for loop to access the elements, object elements, to be more specific. Now, what we're comparing, we are comparing the scores. So I need to now access, now that I have access to the elements, the object elements, I need to access the score property score property value. We have to initialize a for in loop. Key and value. Okay, next we next we have to concatenate the names, and I'm thinking what we could do with that is ls2. So we need the name and ID. So the return value will be the name value and ID value. Name value should only return the initials, first letter of first and last name, concat with the ID number. Okay, so alright. Okay, so that's the basis of the whole solution. So now I'm going to write what I'm going to do, right? Declare a variable and assign it to an empty string. Next, I could initiate a for loop, access the object's elements, initiate a for in loop to access the elements, objects, properties. So many punctuations. Just kidding, I wouldn't write it like this, but Okay. So let's start off with this first. Let initial ID equal to, it's going to be assigned to an empty string, right? And now we're going to access the for loop. I could use a for each method, but I want to use a for loop right now because I want to. Just kidding. So to check if what we're doing is correct, if I were to console log this, now we're getting each individual elements, which are property values, right? And so what I could do now is do a for let key in how do I use the for in loop? if foreign object. Will this work? Let's see. Yeah, it's not defined. That's what I thought. For so I can't use a foreign loop. I thought I could use a foreign loop, but there's no name to an object. So is there a way? So if I do this, I use dot notation, score. Okay, I could also use bracket notation by doing this, parentheses, but I'll use dot notation. So okay, that makes it a lot easier. If you don't have the objects, object name they're just like random objects, and you know what you're specifically looking for, which in this case is score. We could use this. So student I dot score. We could kind of follow the same thing I did in the previous challenge where I declared a new variable, score, high score. It could be student 0, right? I'm getting the first element, which is will sentence dot score, right? And now I'm going to create an if statement, right? Well, let's not do that. Let's do this. Let's do if high score dot score is less than student bracket I dot score. Now let's set this to 1. High score will get reassigned to students I dot score. And so, like I said, to check our work before we continue, so Lisa Simpson should be the high score, so 99 should be the high score. So if we do, oh, it's 57 right now. High score, if it's less than that, okay. Oh. Lisa Simpson. Yes, okay. Why did I do that? So I could do so yes, I'm gonna reassign it and score. What if I did this? Whoa. Oh no. No, I should strictly do this. I'll just leave it a high score for now. So now that I have the single object, I can now do this. I could say initial ID plus high score dot name plus high. Actually, I don't know if I could do this. Initial ID. Oh. Yes, that's fantastic. Right? So if I console log initial ID, I get Lisa Simpson 2. Now, I could Well, because Lisa Simpson is one string, I could add a space here, and I could, similar to what I did earlier, I could split it. And I could pop off the first character of each let empty string. Here, check this out. I could do this. I could do I could actually do let name split equal to this, and I could do another for loop. Do I need to do a for if okay, so I don't have to do a for loop. This is in a case if there are like if there's like a middle name, right? Don't we have to keep that in mind? Or actually, we could do pop or shift. If I shift it, you can't because it's not a array. Well, it isn't array. Huh. I mean, I could. I don't see why not. For let j equals 0, I mean, let's just name split. J is, we'll increment by 1. I think so. I think we could do that. And so, high ID will plus equal to name split. For each one, we're gonna just we're only let me do this J. We're only concerned about the first character. So now we could just return high ID, and it should say it does not okay, why isn't it working? I'm getting the first element of the word. Oh, dot char at, maybe that has to be this specific. Okay, maybe that's not working. Let's go. Okay. Split. So I'm gonna console log name split and see what it's giving me. And I don't think I spelled it wrong. It's an array. Oh. Oh gosh. LS2. And I think bracket would have worked as well. Yeah, so now I'm going to do high ID plus this ls2, return high ID, and we get ls2. Ooh, alright. Oh gosh. Last one, guys. Let's take a quick small break. Whew. Alright, let's see. Holy cow. Hmm. Alright, challenge 15. Let's finish this, boys and girls and anyone else. Everybody. Alright, so challenge 15, create a function. Least common multiple that takes two numbers, integers, as input and returns the lowest number, which is a multiple of both input. Okay. Create a function least common multiple. Two numbers, integers as input, and returns the lowest number, which is a multiple of both inputs. Oh, two. Oh, okay. 2, 12. Okay. Just kidding. All right, let's work on this. So essentially, we have to figure out the smallest multiple of a common multiple of the the arguments we are being given. And so I'm thinking create a conditional statement to find the lowest common multiple of the two arguments. Once we do that, we will multiply both of them. Return the result. Simple as that, I think. So if num1 is divisible by 2, and num2 is, so I'm using a modulo to check if they're both, if it's true, right? So then we're going to do num1 will divide by 2. Num2 will divide by 2. Well, 2 is the most common, is the lowest one, right? And let me and I'm going to multiply these two. Well, let's declare a variable first. Declare a variable, assign it to 0 because we're going to be working with numbers. Let multiply equal to this, and so just to check, right, multiply else, multiply will still be this, but it won't divide by 2. And so if I return multiply 6, 15, 13, wait, 5. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Wait, what the heck? Isn't it 2? Create a function least common multiple that takes two numbers, integers as inputs and returns the lowest number, which is a multiple of both inputs. How did I get 60? I mean, how did I get 30? Well, I got 30 because 30. Drink water again. Excuse me. I got 30 because sum is a multiple of 5. Let's see. 2 is a multiple of both 6 and 10. So was only one of them getting 12 times 26, 312. So is it just the first one in which a multiple as input? Well, it doesn't say it's the first one, but the answers tell me it is the first one. Because 12 times 26 is 312. 24 times 13 is 312 as well. So we only need one of them, I'm assuming. Okay, well, that makes it a lot easier. I guess that works. So challenge 15. That's challenge 15. We are at 2 hours and 42 minutes. Okay, so there are 4 extensions. Extension. Do I have time to do an extension? Oof, man, I've been at this for a while. No bad kawaii, no bad kawaii. Jeez. Psst. Whatever. Alright, so array builder. Let's take a look at that. Gosh, I've been doing this for like 3 hours. Holy crap. Okay, array builder. Let's just do this. Create a function array builder that takes in a count object and returns an array filled with the appropriate number of elements. Order of the elements in the array does not matter, but repeated elements should be grouped. So count is an object, and we're going to turn it to an array. Count, let's write that down. Count object, and we are creating what? The property names arrays. If there are what's there, if property names property value is more than 1, we will push the prop name many times, and yeah, that's essentially it. Return array result. So, alright, so to access objects, we have to initialize a for in loop to look at the key and value pairs. So to do that, we do for let key in count. Instead of key, we could put animals, just because the two test cases, well, one's blank and one are animals, so that's a lot more specific. So if I do this, so if I console log animals, now I'm going to be getting dogs and cats. Precisely. I just lowered my chair because my back be hurting. And const let's call it const farm equal to an empty array to make it more fun, I guess. So, you know, if we just do farm.push animals, we could push. If we do this, right? We have cats and dogs, and we have undefined, which is good. But the thing is, cats, the property value is 2. And we need to figure out some sort of way to push 2 cats instead of just pushing just 1. If count animal is, let's see, if it's greater than 1, farm.push animal, right? Farm.push animals. I'm pushing the animal the key, and I want to actually count animals. I want to have some sort of system where it minuses out, right? So else farm.push animals. Oh, what the heck? Oh, maybe I should do a while loop. Yeah, I should do a while loop, I think. Whoa. Oh, what'd I do? Oh, that is right. Alright, gotta do a reverse engineer or something. While count animals is greater than 0, so it's gonna check every key. This is what it's gonna do. So until the property values are equal to 0, it ain't gonna stop. This for loop ain't gonna stop. I mean, this while loop's not gonna stop, and it's gonna keep going. It's only until it's equal to 0 is when we have to stop this while loop. So there you have it. That's extension 1. Let's go to extension 2. Extension 2. Create a function object builder that takes in a number and returns an object whose keys are 0 up to number. Huh? Oh. What? Multiply by 5. Oh, the values are just multiplied by 5. We get a number. Oh, we're supposed to. Okay. Okay. Oh, hey, I have my first viewer. Hello. Hey guys. I've been doing this for almost 3 hours. So long. But thank you for the support. Hey guys. I've been doing this for almost 3 hours. So long. But thank you for the support. Hey guys. Be sure to subscribe. Alright, I got 3 more problems. I'm just gonna tough it out. Alright. So essentially all the property values are going to be multiplied by 5. So to do this, right, I have to, let's pseudocode this. So I have to, first of all, I need to, the number we get is going to be the argument, and we're going to have to, whatever number it is, has to be from 0 to that number. So it's going to increment from 0 to the number, always. And so to do that, just like how we did earlier, we're going to initialize a for loop and push all the numbers up to the count argument. And what we're going to be pushing is we're going to be pushing an array. Declare a variable and assign it to an empty array. From here, we should declare a const to an empty object, and essentially, we actually don't need to push it into an array. We could actually just push it into the object, and I'm going to show you guys how to push the numbers. Dot, and property value will be the property key times 5. Sorry about that. Was on talking to you know. Alright. So simply what we have to do is we could declare times 5, declare a variable to an empty object, and we're gonna initialize a for loop count, right? And times 5 count I actually. It's inclusive to count, so times 5I, literally that, will equal to I times 5. And so, ladies and gentlemen, if we return times 5, oh brother. We have an unexpected token from somewhere, I don't know. Okay, there's a comma and everything. Let me comment this out. 0, 1, 1, 5, 2, 10, 3, 15, 4, 20. Next one, 0, 0, 0. There you have it. Extension 2 finished. We got 2 more. Let's keep going, because I am tired. Secret cipher. Create a function secret cipher that takes in a string sentence and an object cipher. Return a string where every character is replaced with corresponding value in cipher. If the character doesn't exist, use the original character. Okay, so we do have a string and we're dealing with an object, and so sentence is a string, cipher is an object. Okay, so oh, I don't know if you guys can read that. Ah, let me move myself up. So we're essentially replacing every letter, or yeah, letters with the property values from the property key. And so, since we're dealing with objects, initialize a for in loop to access the key slash value pairs in the cipher object. Use the replace method for the sentence string to replace all property keys with the property values. Return result. So I'm going to declare a new variable for result string. So it's going to be let decode equal to an empty string, and I want to access the key value pairs in cipher. So cipher, right? And so if I just you know, I love checking, so I love here. Let me comment this out on EP again. We get LQZ in purple. That's the key, and so here's what we could do. Wait, I need to go P again. Alright guys, welcome back to the stream. I just went to pee again, but I want to do a quick shout out to my cutest, smartest, hottest, loveliest, gorgeous supporter who's watching this right now. Yes, you. Yes, you. I have so many things to say to you, and I'll tell you later. But yes, I appreciate the support, and I love you. Alright, let's get back to business. It's all about business. Business, business. I'm so random. Alright, so yes, if we console log this, so what we could do is for every, so we could say decoded will equal to sentence dot replace all cipher with cipher key. I don't know if this will work right off the top, but let's return it. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, whoops. Place also actually what I want to do, I didn't think it was gonna work anyway, so I actually wrote down a way to replace these specific instances. Like, how do I use replace all, right? And what we could do is GI. That does not work. Where are you? Decoded. Oh, it's because I keep looping through it, right? Is that what I'm doing? So let's console log this. So it does change it, but you know, the second one it'll change the L, I think. Z, yeah. Okay, so change of plans. Let's do a for loop. I is less than sentence dot length. I will increment by 1. And so we could say if sentence dot char at I cipher I L. I probably didn't even need to do a for in loop. Now that I'm writing this down, I could have just strictly done this for loop. So if it's defined, then I want decoded to plus equal to but here's the tricky part, right? La 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 la. sentence dot replace all. I want to replace the key. Well, sentence dot char at with. So let's take out this for in loop first and see what we get, because okay, that's what I thought. The thing is, if I do this, it'll only return the last instance. And so what I could do is this is actually something that I encountered before that I struggled with a lot, where I could just keep reassigning sentence. And if I keep reassigning sentence, then voila, we get this. So something I learned from another problem where I was struggling on was, you know, I put it into a new empty string, but what we could do is actually just keep changing sentence. You know, we replace it once and reassign it to string, so that the next iteration, next loop, you know, it would have changed everything already. Wow. Props to me for remembering. I remember I struggled with this problem. Another variation of it, but extension 4. Let's go out on a bang. My voice is shot. So much talking. Create a function passing students that accepts an array of student objects. So an array of student objects should iterate through the list of students and return an array of names of all students who have an average grade of at least 70. Okay, so we have an array of students, and for each element in the array is an object, and in each object we have to access the grades property and essentially average out the scores. So we get all the scores and we're going to average it out for each student, and we are going to return an array of names of students whose average is above at least 70. Okay, so this is very similar to the last one. To access the students array, we have to use initialize a for loop to get the grades. We can use dot notation, and okay. Oh, grades. Oh boy, so for the values of the property name grades, it's going to be an array of sub objects again. So there's gonna be a lot of nesting, let's just say, but I am down for the challenge. The property values of grades, we will use a for loop again, dot dot dot, and well, declare a variable and assign it to an empty array. Return variable students names. Okay, so let's just const over 70 equal to that, to an empty array. We're going to assign it to an empty array. It's not that, it's to an empty array. What's wrong with you? Alright, so next we are going to get access to every element. And to make it easier, I'm going to use the for each method. Student dot for each. I'll use arrow function later. It helps me look at the code a lot easier. And so if we console log element, we now have the objects. And if we specifically want to get that, we have grades, right? So here's what I'm going to do. Let grades are equal average equals element array. And now in this for each loop, I'm going to create another for loop, initialize it, average length, increment by 1. And so now if I console log average dot score, hold up. Average dot length average. Okay, why is it console log average? Right, so we have this. So average is the array, well, the property value of grades, which is an array. And here, let's look at the length, right? It's 3. And so let me comment this out real quick and try doing this. Students dot grades. Students dot grades. Oh no, I do have to because it's an array. Come on. Yes, so this is correct. But when I do students, so okay. So I need to access it again. And so I could do L. Okay. There we go. And so for so the thing I am worried about now is so I don't want to just add, well, because I want to add, I don't want to add all the grades. I want to add each one for each grade, right? So I wonder if over here, let's do let average 70 equal to 0. So okay, this I could do this actually. Const av equal to an empty array. I could do, so average right now is this, right? So score, whoa. So I could do, I don't want to hard code this in a way where um, I want to do it with, I want to do it so that it could just push any amounts of students' names. And let's see if I could do that. So actually I could do that here, right? Because so not average, elements here dot name. There you go. So I could do I could do that. And so if I console equal to 0, so now I have all the students' names. So however many students there are, you know, they're all going to equal to 0 for now. And okay, so now we have that. Let's get back to the score. Score. Let total equal to 0. So let's do total equal plus. Okay, 65. So the thing is, I want to make sure. Okay, so this is just adding everything. It's just like I thought. Okay, let me. So for each person, right? If I go to score, it's undefined. I need to find a way to just so I mean average dot for each function L console log L. But now it's, you know, so how about average so if right now average, right? I don't want to do average. I want to access this, but I want to access students. So element, right? Element dot name. If element dot name here, check this out. Alright, average is score. So if I 225, 300, 190. So if I do this, and divide by, so it's the length of 3. So L dot length What's L? 75. Oh, this is awesome. So now our object has the scores of everybody, and they said has to at least be over at least 70. So okay, thank goodness I kind of figured this out. So now I can say if so now I can use a for let key in abs if key if average key is greater than or equal to 75 or 70, then we will, so over 70 we'll push key. So if we return for 70, we get Marco and Donna. Guys, we just finished JavaScript, the easier parts, variables, data types, and control flow. Granted, this took 3 hours and 30 minutes. I mean, time is relative. As long as you get the work done, that's great. But yes, we got this done. My voice is shot. Congratulations to me. Because, yeah, this was good practice. No, this is really good practice because it's always good to learn the beginnings again, learn the fundamentals, because we're always going to have to remember the small things, Going through these challenges, I realized that I forgot some things. I didn't and it's good to just revisit and keep practicing, let's say, keep the saw going. What is that? What's that saying? It's good to keep practicing your skills, no matter if you're an expert or beginner. It's always good to revisit the basics, because sometimes all we need are the basics. We start off with the basics. It's all about continuous learning too, and continuous learning and sharpening that saw, because we're always going to keep grinding, right? We always got to keep it sharp, so we stay grinding and we stay working, we stay chopping. And yeah, guys, that's the whole live stream. That's the whole gist of it. This is my first ever live stream. Granted, I hope there's no difficulties. You know, but yes, thank you guys for, no, yeah, seriously, thank you guys for watching this. And I'm gonna be, if I have time, I'll cut some clips out to post on YouTube, so that, um, okay, yeah. Sorry, my mouse was moving by itself, which kind of freaked me out for a bit. But yes, 3 hours and 30 minutes. A lot of talking, but this is expected when we're trying to improve, we're trying to grow, we're trying to learn more. And like I said, thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate ya. Appreciate ya. And I'm gonna end this stream. Bye.